Broadcasting from Cincinnati, you're listening to the Ringside Reporter Podcast. All the news from the world of boxing right here.
Well, I'm talking to you the way I want to talk to you.
Now, here's your host, Eric Lorda.
And we are live. Welcome to the Ringside Reporter Podcast, where we talk about the latest boxing news. If it's related to boxing, we'll talk about it here. My name is Eric Lorta, and I'm here with my co-host, Ringside Robert, and England's adopted son, Joe Habib. We have a great show for you today, and as always, you can catch us on the web at ringsidereporter.com. If you want to call and ask questions, you can call in right now at 323-870-3857. We're going to be here till 9 tonight, and it is a hard out at 9. At 9 o'clock, a show ends. We got to go. We got stuff to do, man. Me and Beeb are busy. Robbie, he's a man of leisure. He's got to be out of here at 9. Today, we're going to talk about it's on. Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder is set. I'm excited. We're all excited. We'll have all the details. Now, Robert, how about this? How about every one of our news stories today could be a train wreck of the week? How about that? That might be a first.
I believe you might be right. Brianna would get a lot of work today.
Yeah, that's right. First, we get started with Across the Pond on Showtime. Tyson Fury versus Francesco Pianeta, 10 rounds, heavyweights. There was a lot on the line for Tyson Fury in this fight, man. The best part of this whole thing was when he walked to the ring playing Sweet Home Alabama. I thought that was great. Deontay Wilder was in the front row. Fury looked like he was back in shape. He's got a little bit more to go, but overall, he's there, man. B, what did you say? You said he weighed, 11 pounds lighter or 11 pounds heavier than he did for the Klitschko fight, right? It was like 250.
Yeah, he was 247 for Klitschko, but he was 258 for this fight. But if you go back and look at a lot of his fights on BoxRec, 252, 255, he's, for the most part, he's averaged about 255 pounds throughout the course of his career, and he was exceptionally light for Klitschko. So 258 coming down from 276 is, from June to August. That's incredible. And he looked a lot better yesterday than he did for the fight in June. What a huge difference in appearance and just overall sharpness. But we'll get into that later. But yeah,
sure, man.
Yeah, he's real close. So if he could drop 18 pounds in less than 2 months, then, who knows what's going to happen in his next fight. Probably drop another 10, and I think he'll be there.
Oh, I think so too, man.
Yeah, he was, he looked really, leaps and bounds better than he did in June. I have to say that.
Oh, yes, he did. I mean, by far. I mean, Fury won by a score of 100 to 90. Now, clear something up for me, Beeb. And was it just the referee score? It was just the referee score.
Yeah, that's how they do it in Ireland. Isn't that nuts?
Was a little odd to me. Yeah, that was a little odd.
Yeah.
So, but, I tell you what, you only needed one score, man, because he made it look pretty easy. He completely dominated him. Pianeta, who was in there, he was trying. I mean, Pianeta was trying. It wasn't like he just came in there for a payday. He was trying in there. He was trying to get him out, but, Fury just looked much different in this fight.
Guys.
He was, but I mean, let's be fair about it. I mean, the guy was in there. He was trying. He was doing his best. And, I think Tyson Fury, I mean, again, this is a guy that's just going to make you look bad. I don't care who you're in there against.
Yeah.
Right.
His cardio, Fury's cardio looked great. His movement was there. Everything was clicking. After the fight, it was announced that Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder would be facing each other next. Details will come out next week, but the fight is expected to take place in Vegas in November or December. The two fighters squared off and immediately started talking trash to each other. Let me tell you what, the buildup for this fight is going to be epic. I think it's going to be a great fight. Beeb, what were your thoughts on Tyson Fury, how he looked? I mean, obviously we expected him to beat Pianeta. How did he look compared to his last fight? What kind of things can he improve on? And is he back to his form?
You could see, in my opinion, and I stress my opinion, that he was looking to go rounds. He was just boxing. He was throwing sharp punches, but he really didn't step in with anything significantly hard. I liked how he was trying to work on his inside game a little bit, went to the body. But, to fight the way he fought yesterday, you have to be in great shape because he was moving a lot. He was fighting on his toes. He was throwing a lot of jabs, but the punches came off smooth. They looked sharp. Defensively, he's very awkward, constantly throwing feints, constantly giving you different looks, constantly taking little side steps, hard pivots. I mean, the guy is just really, really skilled, especially for a guy his size. It's amazing watching him move the way he moves, being 6'9" and being over 250 pounds. And he's standing right there in front of Pianeta, and Pianeta couldn't hit him with a handful of salt in the ass. I mean, it was a really impressive performance. Again, that is Francesco Pianeta. We know that's not a Deontay Wilder or Anthony Joshua. But again, he was just basically able to do whatever he wanted in there. And Pianeta was trying hard to win. Pianeta is a solid fighter, not a world beater, but make no mistake about it. This guy's fought for the world title on 2 occasions. So he knows what it's like to be on the big stage. And he definitely was not starstruck. He wasn't there just to get a paycheck. He was trying to win the fight. And I think Fury, people are going to criticize performance. You should have got him out of there, should have blew him out, whatever. But again, I got the sense that Fury fought the way he fought for a reason. Wanted to get the rounds in, wanted to work on his conditioning. And at no point in that fight was he fighting with his mouth open. Was he taking deep breaths? He was gasping for air? He fought very well. Fought very well. And if anyone just thinks that this Deontay Wilder fight's going to be a walkover, I think they're sorely mistaken. Let's make no mistake about it. Deontay Wilder was losing to Artur Szpilka in that fight. He was losing to Gerald Washington. He was losing to Luis Ortiz. Yeah. And I think even this version of Tyson Fury is levels above, Gerald Washington and Artur Szpilka. Luis Ortiz, yeah, he's you could maybe not the same, but but again, you're dealing with a guy that could fight southpaw and can fight orthodox and has a much different set of dimensions than Luis Ortiz has. And you know what people are saying? Well, Deontay Wilder is going to get that right hand off, and they don't believe that Tyson Fury is going to be able to deal with that right hand. But this is the thing: Tyson Fury's tall and he's long. He'll be able to be out of range for that right hand, but still be in range to land his shots because he's taller and he's rangier than Wilder. So he'll be able to land and control the pace from the distance if he's able to fight the way he normally fights. So Deontay Wilder is going to have to step forward to land that right hand because Tyson Fury is the longer, taller guy, and he's really, really good at using his range. But not only that, Tyson Fury is a really capable inside fighter as well, especially for a guy his size. He can throw those uppercuts on the inside. He can throw the body shots. A lot of times he'll maneuver you with that forearm and come over the top with that short chopping right hand. We saw him do that against Steve Cunningham. So I think that Tyson Fury's style can definitely present problems for Deontay Wilder, and I think that fight is very intriguing. And the big question mark is, will Tyson Fury be even better for that fight than he was for this fight in terms of physical conditioning, and will he look sharper? And not only that, Tyson Fury rises to the occasion. We saw what he did against Vladimir Klitschko. I picked him to beat Vladimir Klitschko. Everyone thought I was crazy. I still believe, obviously, Deontay Wilder should still be favored in the fight. But I think Tyson Fury has a shot. And I would not feel apprehensive at all about picking him, and especially betting on him if I could get some decent odds. I mean, the fight is in the United States. It is in possibly Vegas or New York. Will that give Deontay Wilder an added boost? And we also have to keep in mind that Deontay Wilder, in fights that we believe that he was behind in, judges scored the fight for him, had him ahead at the point in time before he stopped his opponents. And it was clearly evident, in my opinion, and most people's opinions, that in the Gerald Washington fight, he was clearly behind that fight. He was behind in the Szpilka fight, and he was behind in the Ortiz fight. And judged that scorecards were a little bit dubious to say the least. Now, will that have an impact, with the fight with Fury? We don't know. But again, Tyson Fury has a way of making everyone look bad. And I still think that he has the ability to do the same thing to Deontay Wilder that he did to Vladimir Klitschko, if he could, bring back that same intensity and that same focus. And I think it's quite possible that he can do it. I think he's dialed in right now. I think he's focused. And I'm looking forward to a very, very intriguing fight, an interesting fight, definitely, come November, December.
Beeb, let me ask you a question real quick here. Why are so many people so quick to dismiss Tyson Fury in this fight?
Well, people don't want to think outside the box sometimes. And I'm trying not to sound condescending to anyone out there, but people just sit, there's a lot of groupthink out there. No one wants to be that guy to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to go out on that limb and I'm going to pick this guy because that's what I believe. You know what I mean? So upsets happen in this sport. This is one of the sports that upsets happen the most out of any sport in the world. I mean, we've seen so many upsets in this sport. And, Tyson Fury is a better boxer than Deontay Wilder. All around, he is a more highly skilled fighter than Deontay Wilder. No disrespect to Wilder. The one advantage he has is that power, but that's a big advantage. I mean, he's shown the ability to land that right hand against everyone. And I was shocked he was able to land it against Luis Ortiz and turn that fight around. But here's the thing. You're dealing with a long guy who leans back, who rolls. It's going to be very challenging to land that perfect right hand against this man, Tyson Fury. Especially, him being aware of what's coming at him and just being able to make you miss with inches and constantly throwing those feints. So Deontay Wilder, is he going to shoot that right hand with as much confidence against the guy who's so herky-jerky, throws tons of feints, constantly moving his head, constantly changing up the look of his attack, and just so fluid with that jab? And, he's just so hard to get a read on. Will he be as confident, will he be as fluid with that right hand against Fury as he was against other opponents? That's going to be a big question mark. I'm stoked for this fight. I'm excited for this fight. And, this is a great fight. It's a good fight for the sport. It's the best possible fight we could have in the heavyweight division outside of Anthony Joshua. And we know that situation, what's going on with that situation over there. And, Tyson Fury doesn't seem too enthusiastic about having to deal with Eddie Hearn either. So this was the best possible next best thing. And it's a close, in my opinion, again, a close second to that fight. And I'm excited about the build-up, the press conferences. And you don't hear Tyson Fury complaining about, how many press tours do I got to do? How much of this? How much? He's welcoming doing the press. Deontay Wilder's welcoming doing the press. Where Anthony Joshua was kind of reserved, like, I don't know, how many press tours do I got to do? Or how many trips do I got to make to the U.S.? Tyson Fury doesn't care. He's excited about doing it. Both of these guys have taken their careers by the horns, so to speak. And, they're really excited about moving forward. Where, again, Anthony Joshua has that level of complacency, in my opinion. He's already had the 90,000 people come out to see him. He's already had the fight with Klitschko. He kind of seems to me to be resting on his laurels right now. These two guys are looking to take it to that next level. They're hungry, whereas I don't see that same hunger in Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua's talking about losing. He's showing signs of not being 100% confident. These guys are both dialed in. They're both talking the talk, and I suspect that they're definitely going to walk the walk. These are what heavyweight champions are supposed to be like. This is how they're supposed to act. This is what they're supposed to do. They're fighting. Tyson Fury realizes that the best possible deal he can get is coming over to the United States and fighting Deontay Wilder. Let me go to that guy's backyard. Let me go where the fight can be most lucrative, and let me go where the fight can be the biggest. So now you got, best of both worlds. You're getting a U.S. pay-per-view and a U.K. pay-per-view. You're getting a Vegas venue where the ticket prices will be higher. The high rollers will come out. I just think Tyson Fury, he gets the plot. He understands. Where Anthony Joshua, I just don't think he made the right decision. But that's neither here nor there. Let's go, man. Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Robert, what are your thoughts?
He looked good yesterday. He looked very good. Now, I've only seen him fight 3 times. Yesterday, Vladimir Klitschko and Steve Cunningham. And by far, yesterday was the best I've ever seen him. But you had to take the opponent into account. And if Deontay Wilder is going to be, if it's going to be as competitive as I think it's going to be, I think Deontay Wilder needs to take a page out of his book that he used against Warren-Ringside the first time around. He's going to have to get his movement out of the bag because he's going to have to constantly move. He can't do what he's done against previous opponents and just wait for the opportunity to unload that right hand of his. He's going to have to be constantly on his toes and constantly moving. He's going to have to show Tyson Fury, look, you're not the only one that can do these kind of things. But instead of going for the big shots, when Wilder can get close, and that's going to be a question because of Tyson Fury's reach. I believe it's like 85 inches. Wilder's going to have to work and go towards the body, work on the body shots, do those kind of things. He's going to have to think more in this fight, I firmly believe, than he ever has had to think in previous fights. Let's face it, 40 opponents have been basically set up for him, and he's been able to get rid of every single one of them. The only one he ever went the distance was the first time he fought Warren-Ringside. Not only does Tyson Fury have to be at the top of his game, I think if Deontay Wilder wants the Anthony Joshua fight, he's going to have to be in the best shape of his life, and he's going to have to do things that he's not used to doing. This on paper looks like it could be if they have this fight in December, hell, this would be an excellent way to close out 2018. And you know what? Anthony Joshua may regret the decision of not fighting Wilder first, because if Tyson Fury and Wilder say they have a close fight, guess what? They could do it again and keep Anthony Joshua waiting. What do you think Eddie Hearn would think about that? The possibilities are endless here.
Can I just jump in real quick? And I hate to do this, but because I have to address people in the chat, Larry Merchant in the chat, making statements, but you don't do research and you don't really look at the history of what's been going on. When Fury fought Klitschko, okay, this was at a time when Klitschko was really thought to be a boring fighter, okay, and people were really sour on him, particularly in the U.S. and they basically took him off HBO. They put Fury and Klitschko on HBO, okay, and they peaked at 1.6 million viewers. And this was before Fury was champion, and this was when people were sour on Vladimir Klitschko. And then the fight did 500,000 pay-per-view buys on Sky. Okay? Deontay Wilder peaked at 1.2 million versus Luis Ortiz on Showtime. Okay? That was the highest rated fight in the last 3 years on Showtime. So you guys aren't doing the research. You're just sitting there basically parroting everything Eddie Hearn is saying. You're lazy. You're lazy. And all of this was before Fury became champion. Soon as he won that fight against Klitschko, his stock skyrocketed. And then when he went away and then he came back, people liked that story, coming back from adversity, seeing how bad of shape he was in, taking all that weight off, beating the drug addiction, or at least dealing with it and having it in check. And then when he came back, everyone was saying, even people in the UK, all the fighters, oh, it's great to have him back. He's helping breathe life into this division. You guys are missing the plot because you're stuck in your fanboyism. This fight with Fury and Wilder has potential. I'm not saying it's going to be bigger than a Wilder-Joshua fight would be, but I'm telling you right now, it's going to be bigger than a Joshua Povetkin fight. Definitely, in my opinion. And I think it could potentially be much bigger, not much bigger, but bigger than a Joshua Dillian White rematch. Because let's look at what's going on with Joshua now. The last two fights Joshua had, like a week in, or 2 weeks in, or 3 weeks in, Eddie Hearn and Sky Sports and all these UK websites, oh, already sold out. We haven't heard that yet with this Povetkin fight. There's still ringside seats available if you go and you look online to purchase tickets. So, again, things are changing a little bit, guys. You can't keep using the same talking points. Deontay Wilder is starting to become popular. Tyson Fury became popular after he beat Klitschko. Now he's coming back off that layoff. So he's highly anticipated now. Can he be that same fighter? There's a story here, guys. There's a story here. People want to buy into this. I think you're underestimating that. Just stop with the Eddie Hearn, AJ bullshit. You know, stop with all of this craziness and resign from your position with Matchroom Sport PR team and just become a fan again and look at this objectively. Okay? Look at it objectively.
Yeah.
Hey, here I thought you were going to tear me apart for what I said, Joe.
No, I'll never tear you apart. I'm Team Robbie all the way, baby.
I agree with that. A lot of people say
You're my brother, Robbie.
A lot of people just go with their opinions and like spout them off like they're fact, and that's not entirely true, you know. It's funny. I mean, it's funny that you mentioned that, and I guess I'll go ahead and say it. Carlos Takam had a tweet earlier on this week that I thought was really, really good. And you guys know Carlos Takam, he lost to AJ, and I guess somebody was tweeting AJ or tweeting about AJ or something to that effect, and says that, AJ's a bum. He's fought, he hasn't fought anybody. The only real name he's fought was Klitschko, and Klitschko was old. And, Carlos Takam was a bum. Parker was a bum. And Carlos Takam, kind of addressed it and said, you're being very disrespectful. You're being very disrespectful to the boxers, to the people that get in there and put everything on the line to entertain you and entertain, everybody in the, so, you really ought to show a little bit more respect, and that's how I feel sometimes when I read some of the comments after the stories and stuff like that. That kind of thing. It just, I don't know. It just kind of hearing what was, kind of what was going on in the chat, like the back and forth about, well, he doesn't draw, or he does this, he doesn't, you don't know. You don't know because you don't do any research. Go ahead.
The thing that bothers me about it, Eric, is people that participate in our show and other shows, and they actually watch fights. They claim to be boxing fans, but when they comment on stories and they voice their own opinions, or they want to support somebody else's opinion, like Eddie Hearn. They're, instead of showing that they're true fans, they're basically trying to do Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua's PR. If you're a true boxing fan, form your own opinion. Don't try to help somebody else with theirs. Show the fact that you're a boxing fan. People that have access to the internet constantly, I guess, can pretty much find anything on whatever side of the story they want. But start acting like boxing fans. You're not getting paid by Matchroom Sports. Eddie Hearn is not writing you a personal check. I mean, we tease Jason all the time on here about being on Al Heyman's payroll. Well,
everybody knows Al Heyman doesn't pay Jason.
Well, the simple fact is, the reason why we do that is because every time he comes out here, he doesn't talk about boxing as a sport. He pumps up the PBC. That's his claim to fame. So he feels like every time he's got to come out here, he's got to pump up Al. And I guess other people in the chat, they got to talk about Eddie because that's the side they believe in. Since when did we all have to pick sides? If you love boxing, you love boxing as a whole.
Yeah, but you can pick sides, but makes sense when you're talking. Larry Merchant in the chat just said, "I know because I live here." That's disturbing to me that you live there and you don't know the stats. Because Fury was a 4-1 underdog. Okay? No one gave him a shot. Klitschko's not even from the UK. Okay? And people were saying how boring. You remember Eric? Oh, this guy's the most boring heavyweight champion. Yep. HBO took him off the network. They took him off the network for years.
You know what? How many heavyweight championship fights were not televised?
Exactly. And then they took, and you know what? Fury talked that fight up. He made that fight big. It did 500,000 pay-per-view buys. When people were saying, "Oh, Fury, who's he ever beat? Chisora?" And they were downing him and they were laughing at him. Oh, he's going to get blown out. This is going to be a one-sided fight. And it did 500,000 pay-per-view buys. And you live in the UK, you didn't know that. And you didn't know that. You lived in the UK. And then you live in the UK and you don't know that it did 1.6 million viewers on HBO after this guy was banned from the network for like almost 7 or 8 years. He comes back with Fury because Fury pumped that fight up. He made that fight interesting with all of his trash talk, Batman suits flying over tables. He made that fight interesting. And you live in the UK and you're overlooking everything I just said because you're being myopic. How does that happen? How does Fury, a guy who really didn't have a great resume going in, who people didn't think had a shot to win, and then you have Vladimir Klitschko, who's not even from the UK, and people didn't really like him. People downed him and said how boring he was and how he was this and that, and we missed Tyson, Mike Tyson. What happened to those days? And blah 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 blah. He gets banned from HBO for years, comes back, fights Fury, does 1.6 million, and then does 500,000 pay-per-view buys out of nowhere. How does that happen? So, and another thing you people are totally not realizing is this whole thing, this whole ordeal with the back and forth with Wilder and Joshua is making Wilder bigger. Now all the Joshua fans are going to tune in to see Wilder and say, "Hey, let's see if he can do what he's supposed to do against Fury." So the Joshua fans are going to tune in to hopefully see Wilder look bad and lose. So that's the thing. Like, Wilder has become very popular. Look when he was over there, how the crowd was going crazy and the fans were mobbing him. And even in the UK, yeah, Joshua has made Wilder popular. All the shit talking Hearn and Joshua have done, trying to diminish Wilder, it backfired. It made him bigger. All you guys talking shit about him, you're talking about him. You're in forums. You're on YouTube. And people, you live in the YouTube bubble. Wilder's only popular on YouTube. Do you know how much people, I have to keep repeating this, you know how many people YouTube reaches? It's international. It's worldwide. People in China can see Deontay Wilder, being interviewed, and people all over the world. Like, you guys downplay how big of a platform this is. You really do.
There it is. Beeb, let me ask you, so do you think Tyson Fury is ready? And this will go out to both of you guys, because this is what I'm hearing too. A lot of people are saying that he's not ready to face Deontay Wilder, that he doesn't look. Is he ready, or is this as ready as he's going to be, and now's as good a time as any?
You know, what do you really get out of fighting Pianetas? With all due respect to Pianeta, you're going to get the same result if he fights 2 more Pianetas, right? So, can he get sharper? It's possible. But this is the thing for me. Seeing how much progress he made from June to now, to August, was amazing to me. So if he could replicate that from August to December, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm optimistic. I think he'll be ready. I do. I mean, you know, it's realistic to be skeptical about it. Of course it is. It's realistic. You know, it's people are saying, yeah, he's going to get blown out in 3 rounds. I understand where you're coming from. I'm not going to say you're wrong, you're crazy, whatever. But I've always believed in this guy, and it's not a personal thing. It's not a fanboy thing. I really like how this guy, it's amazing to me how this guy can box, being as big as he is. It's amazing to me seeing how versatile this guy. I love this guy's fighting style. I love it. I love how this guy fights. I think it's incredible watching this guy box. Do I like his personality? Does he make me laugh? Absolutely. But I like a lot of guys' personalities. But if they can't fight, they can't fight. I like Ricardo Mayorga too. He used to make me laugh my ass off too. But I never picked him over Shane Mosley. I never picked him over Oscar De La Hoya because with all due respect, I looked at the styles. So I'm not just emotionally attached to this guy. I'm not ingratiating myself to this guy because I like him. No, I mean, I love how this guy fights. I think this guy is an incredibly skilled fighter. I think it's amazing how this guy can box. That's why I think he can do it. I think he can do it.
Yeah, I think this guy has more skill than anybody Wilder's fought. I mean, you talk about Louis Ortiz, and again, Louis Ortiz got tired. I don't know that Tyson Fury is going to get tired. The other thing I look at too is that, again, we go back to the Gerald Washington, the Arthur Spiltzka, the Louis Ortiz, and I don't care what the scorecard said, he was losing that fight. That pretty much guarantees the fact that he wasn't going to walk out of there without the title. But I mean, he, for better or worse, he was losing all 3 of those fights. He finds a way to get that right hand in there on everybody he fights. But again, hey, listen, for Wilder, there is no plan B. He's going to try to knock you out. He's not going to outbox Fury. And that's just it. He's not going to outbox him, and he's going to have to land that big right hand. And he's got 12 rounds to do it, but I don't know. I mean, Fury's got that style. You don't know. Thank you so much to Corey Lee Boxing, who gave us $1.99. That's awesome, baby. Love it.
And the ironic thing here is, Eric, the same things that were being said before the Klitschko fight with Fury are being said again. Because Klitschko was a monster right-hand puncher too. And what did everyone say? What happens if Klitschko lands that right hand? And Klitschko always seemed to land that right hand and get guys out. I mean, people forget how many knockouts Vladimir Klitschko has. He's had a lot more fights than Deontay Wilder, but they have a very comparable knockout ratio.
Yeah,
Klitschko is up there. You know what I'm saying? And he's never lost a decision. He's only lost by knockout.
Klitschko had 54 knockouts in his 64 wins.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
There it is. All right, guys, if you like what we're doing, make sure to hit the thumbs up button. Make sure to subscribe to us on iTunes and beatingtheoddswithbeeb.com. You go there and you can go ahead and subscribe to us there on YouTube. And also, too, Corey Lee Boxing, again, just gave us a donation. That was great, man. We appreciate it. And you can catch him. Just go to YouTube and search Corey Lee Boxing. He's got a great show on there. So yeah, go ahead and catch him, man. He does good stuff on there. So if you guys, again, if we're entertaining to you, you guys like what we're doing, there you go. Thumbs up. All right, Carl Frampton versus Luke Jackson for Frampton's WBO interim featherweight title. Frampton wins here via TKO in the 8th over Luke Jackson. Frampton looked pretty good in this fight, man. He dominated from start to finish. It didn't look like Jackson was in this fight at all. The thing that got me is the announcers kept talking about like Jackson is a slow start. He's going to get started. He's going to, start to come on later. Frampton never let him off the hook. He never let him get started. I thought Frampton looked pretty good in this fight, man. But it's time for Frampton to come back and let's start, and not that Luke Jackson wasn't top opposition because he's a good fighter, but I want to see him back in the main events, Robert, what were your thoughts on Frampton?
I thought he did very well, and I'm sorry to disappoint people, but Luke Jackson was tailor-made for Carl Frampton.
Sure.
I hope we get to see the Josh Warrington fight because that's what's rumored to be next. And and granted, I didn't get to see Warrington beat Selby, but hey, it's time for Carl to get back on the big stage, and if that's who he wants, let's get that going.
I agree. Larry Merchant, thank you so much for the donation. He donated to us on the chat room. So Larry Merchant, thank you so much. And absolutely, man, you guys have differing opinions, but it's all good, man. We'd love to hear everybody. Beeb, what were your thoughts on Carl Frampton? Is he ready for, would you like to see him step up his competition here?
This is the thing. It was said during the telecast that this is the best Carl Frampton's ever looked. But then it was also said, well, look who he was in there with. But we have seen on other occasions where Frampton has fought down to the level of his opposition, and we anticipated him to really look better in certain fights than he did when he was fighting guys who weren't on his level. But this was a case where that didn't happen. He fought brilliantly last night. He was sharp. He was really focused, and he was really accurate with his punches. His punches were perfectly placed, and he wasn't sloppy at all. There wasn't any hesitation. In other words, he went into this fight with a mission, looking to make a statement, and he did just that. And I think that, Carl Frampton, I've always been high on him. Another guy that I like, very versatile, a guy who is as equally dangerous moving backward as he is moving forward. A guy who can set traps, a guy who can fight on the outside, even though he's not the tallest guy in the world, but he knows how to, you really use his jab, position himself where he can slip and get his jab underneath his opponent. He's a real crafty, excellent boxer, and he can pop a little bit too, as he showed. And he doesn't neglect the body. He's just an all-around excellent fighter. And I think that even Leo Santa Cruz should be on notice here, because I picked him to beat Leo Santa Cruz both times. He won the first fight. He didn't win the second fight. But Carl Frampton is just an all-around great fighter, I think that he could definitely reclaim that status he once had, and he could be a pound-for-pound guy down the road, in my opinion.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about here the one that wasn't televised here. Christopher Rosales versus Paddy Barnes, 12 rounds for Rosales' WBC flyweight title. Rosales knocked out former Olympian Paddy Barnes, and you guys remember Paddy Barnes from the Olympics. In the 4th round, he knocked him out in the 4th round with a body shot to retain the WBC flyweight title. Now, okay, so he knocks out an Olympian. We got it. I mean, here's the problem. Rosales was 27-3-18. All right, 27 fights, 30 fights. Barnes was 5-0 with 1 knockout. Who's handling Paddy Barnes' career, man? Why on earth do they think putting Barnes in there was a good idea with only 5 fights?
Can I tell you something?
That's insane to me. Yes.
Can I tell you something? I gotta do this. I'm sorry, Chakal. I'm gonna kind of put you on blast a little bit. Shakur asked me, goes, who are you like in this fight? And I said, not Paddy Barnes. I said, not Paddy Barnes. And he's like, oh, well, you know, people are saying this, people saying that. You know, this got a lot of hype behind this guy. Oh, I just watched a couple of his fights. This guy's really slick. He's a great boxer. I said, yeah, but this other guy can crack like a friggin' son of a bitch. I said, this guy can punch. This guy's he's a dog. He's a dog in there. You know what I'm saying? I said, Paddy Barnes really is not a physical guy. He's not an overly strong guy. He's not a big puncher. So I don't think Paddy Barnes is going to win. I think he's going to get stopped. And he goes, no. He goes, I'm rolling with Paddy Barnes. And I was like, but the odds were close. I mean, he's only a 2-1 underdog. So it wasn't like he was
right.
You know what I'm saying? He was very highly touted. Very highly touted.
I don't understand. I think that like Lomachenko, I think with the Lomachenko thing where he's he's in there and he's he's fighting guys at like 5 fights and he's going for titles at the second fight. And I think that some of these Olympians get out here, man, and I don't know again, man, who's handling his career, why they thought this was a good idea, but like, what are you thinking about? You guys are ruining his career. Paddy Barnes will never be the same after that knockout, ever. He's done.
I mean, what's this new thing now? People with 5 fights,
yeah.
10 fights. Who was the guy that had 1 fight and fought for the title? Who was that? Who was that fight? Remember that fight on Manny Pacquiao?
Yeah, and the guy got
the card there.
Pasted. Yeah, that guy got pasted too.
I mean, and then you got these guys just weight jumping for the sake of weight jumping. It's like, what's the rush? I mean, what's the rush? Who's putting the gun?
When if you didn't have
a gun to these guys' heads,
you weren't getting a shot. You know,
look how many fights Marvin Hagler had to fight before he got a shot at the middleweight title.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
exactly.
Oh my God,
it's crazy, man.
No.
All right, let's talk about the card on ESPN. Bryant Jennings versus Alexander Dimitrenko. 12 rounds or heavyweights. Jennings was knocked down early in the fight, but came back and knocked Dimitrenko. It's easy for me to say out in the 9th round. Dimitrenko was knocked down twice in the 8th and once in the 9th. Now, Jennings landed a picture-perfect uppercut that sent him down in the 9th. That being said, this was an incredibly bad stoppage, I thought. The referee was behind the action, so he was actually behind Dimitrenko when he fell down and just immediately waved off the fight. Didn't see his facial reaction, wasn't on the side of them to see both the shot and then the shot land. I don't even know that he saw the shot land because he was directly behind. What he was doing behind Dimitrenko, I have no idea. That being said, when he hit the canvas, he immediately stopped it. I don't know what that guy was looking at. I don't know what he was thinking. Now, devil's advocate, the referee, look, the fight was going that way. There's no question about it. That fight was going that way. I think Jennings was on his way to stopping him. Yeah. Let it play out, man. You got to let that play out. And I'm usually I'm usually on the fence that, hey, you got to protect these guys and everything. And I'm okay with the early stoppages. That was a little bit too early for me. Robert, what'd you think?
I know. Everybody on the telecast they were all saying, he did it too early. And I think you have to agree with that. I think it would have ended up that way. I don't think he would have survived another round. I think it would have wound up that way anyway, but because that's the direction it was headed. But you've got to give him another opportunity at least. And good for Brian Jennings. And, I hope he gets a fight with somebody like a Joseph Parker or Andy Ruiz or somebody of that ilk. Because, he's a decent fighter. I mean, hell, when he fought Klitschko, he was very competitive against Klitschko. So this guy shows he belongs in the heavyweight division. And like I said, I hope he gets a decent fight. He deserves a good payday.
Yeah, I think so too. Let's go on to Jesse Hart versus Mike Gavronski. Hart scored a 3rd round TKO over Mike Gavronski. Beeb, what were your thoughts on Jesse Hart?
Jesse Hart's a great fighter, man. He's probably the best fighter out there that doesn't have a world title. You know what I mean? He's a good fighter. got a killer left hook. Another all-around solid fighter. He's a Philly fighter, but the guy can box. He uses his head in there. Excellent body puncher. I just think he's the goods. And against Ramirez, I thought he was in that fight. I had that fight razor close. I thought that he kind of it was like nip and tuck. He would get the momentum, and then Ramirez would get it right back. But I think Ramirez is ripe for the taking. He hasn't looked great in his last couple of fights, and Jesse Hart's kind of surging right now, and he's hungry. So I would love to see a rematch. But yeah, I mean, you got a guy like Jesse Hart, who's an excellent fighter. Can work off the jab, but this guy's got a killer left hook too. So one of those guys that can just generate power with that 6-inch hook, like real close inside. When you got a guy that can generate power without a lot of space like that, guy who can squeeze off those uppercuts and body shots and those 45s on the inside, and you got a guy who can generate that power from the outside and the inside. So, like, what do you do with the guy? You got to put him in a straitjacket. That's the only way you're going to stop him, because this guy can generate power anywhere, and he puts his shots together very well, and he always goes to the body. A lot of times he'll finish combinations with body shots. So this guy is in it for the long haul. He could take you deep and get you out of there deep after wearing you down, or he can get you with an explosive left hook and get you out of there. So this guy's a dangerous fighter. He's a skilled fighter, and I kind of liked at the end how he went out there and started talking about Art Hopkins. It was like the old veteran giving the new kid on the block some advice. I thought that was cool, and he seems like this guy wants to get better. He's constantly working on his craft, and I think he shows us a little bit something extra every fight. And I hope he gets that rematch with Ramirez. I hope he gets another title shot, because he definitely deserves it.
He's one of those guys that has gotten better, I think, since that loss. I really do.
Yeah,
he's kind of not necessarily reinvented himself, but put some new wrinkles in his game and that kind of thing. He's gotten better, a little
more versatile and stuff, a little bit, a little less predictable. Kind of gives you different looks in there, and he'll go inside on you, but then he won't just lie in there. He'll go step back out and reset, and he'll make you think and let you know that there's going to be some stuff coming at you from the outside as well. So he's kind of I think add a little bit more versatility and switch things up a little bit better, since that loss. Because I thought I think what he did in that fight was he knew he had to get inside, but I think in certain instances he stayed in there a little bit too long, and he had to kind of pace himself a little bit better in that fight. And I think that was the problem. I think moving forward, I think he realizes that he's got to pace himself better, and he just can't throw all caution into the wind and try to grind it out the whole fight on the inside. I think he's got to realize he has to give different looks now.
Right. Shakur Stevenson was on the undercard versus Carlos Ruiz. 8 rounds are featherweight. Stevenson won a unanimous decision over Carlos Ruiz by the scores of 80-72 across the board. It was a very one-sided fight. So there you go. Now I'm curious to see if Shakur starts to develop any kind of power. I think at this point it just kind of is what it is for him. I don't think he's going to be a power puncher. I don't think he's going to develop that power. He's still got that. I don't know, unless he moves up in weight, which I don't know. To me, if he doesn't have the power, he's not going to get it right now. And he's just that kind of fighter.
He's a smaller Paulie Malignaggi. No power.
How dare you? Wow. Shakur Stevenson, Olympian. You are so disrespectful, Robert.
Please, Rob.
If he had the career that Paulie Malignaggi had, you get no complaints, because Paulie won.
Oh, don't try to cover it. Don't try to chocolate coat it now.
2 different weight classes.
Don't try to put the sugar on it now, buddy. It's over with. You blew it. All right, non-televised. Carlos Cuadras versus Ricardo Nunez. Carlos Cuadras won by a 7th round. Hit this, a 7th round technical decision over Ricardo Nunez in Sinaloa, Mexico. Cuadras suffered 2 cuts during the fight. The cuts were ruled accidental headbutts. Cuadras was bleeding heavily over both eyes, so the fight had to be stopped. They went to the scorecards. Cuadras was ahead, and he won a unanimous decision, 68-63 twice and 69-63. So there you go. All right, let's talk about the upcoming fights here. Let's get there. August 19th, Robert, that is today. So on Cloud TV, I don't know if it's already taken place or whatever. I can't pronounce these names. Shavkatsadan Rakimov, and Robinson Castellanos. I can pronounce that. 12 rounds.
Siri.
What's that? Siri. That's
Siri.
Right. How do you pronounce this?
Siri.
Alexa, how do you do this? And a bunch of it's just call him Alphabet. All right, I don't know what his name is. But that's going to be on Cloud TV. It's on Russian TV, or I guess German is Cloud TV, isn't it? Germany.
That's Germany. That's correct. It's
taking place in Russia. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
All right, so that's today. I don't know if you caught it. You caught it. I don't know who won. I don't care. I got to be honest.
Okay.
All right. August 24th. Robert, you're my savant. That's a Friday, no?
Friday.
All right.
Yeah.
At Minneapolis on Fox Sports 1, Jamal James versus Mahanri Montes, 10 rounds, welterweights. Willie Monroe Jr., your boy, versus Emmanuel Alim, 10 rounds, middleweights. And Jamonte Clark versus Jason Rosario, 10 rounds, junior middleweights. Now, this card is pretty stacked as far as who they got on it. Those are the top 3 fights on it, but they also have Caleb Truax is on the undercard. Gary Russell's little brother is on there. Let's see here. Leon Lawson III is on there. Willie Jones and Money Powell IV is on there as well. Now they're all like highlight matches, but yeah, a lot of good guys. So I tell you what, if you're in Minneapolis, man, I'd go watch that card. That's not a bad.
This is the PBC bad. Jason special.
Wow, just rip that card apart, man. That's cold-blooded. All right, on Friday on ThompsonBoxing.com, Ruben Villa versus Jose Santos Gonzalez, 8 rounds featherweights. Let's see what else here. Now, on the 25th, Saturday, from Glendale, Arizona, on ESPN. Raimundo Beltran versus Jose Pedraza, 12 rounds for Beltran's WBO lightweight title. And Isaac Dogpo versus Hidenori Otake, 12 rounds for Dogpo's WBO junior featherweight title. Michaela Mayer, Robbie's girl, is on there versus Adina Kiss, 6 rounds, female lightweights. And let's see what else here. And we'll talk about that fight in a minute. From Toronto, the Jose Sulaiman World Invitational Finals. It does not televised. Friend of the show, Chris Van Heerden versus Frederick Lawson, 10 rounds welterweights. Brad Solomon versus friend of the show, Francisco Santana, 10 rounds welterweights. How about that? 2 friends of the show, Robert. Look at that.
Yeah. Hey, we could have 2 friends eventually fighting one another.
How good would that be? Because one of the friends of the show would then become the champion. How about that?
That's right.
That's right. That's good stuff. And that's pretty much it for the weekend. Let's talk about that Beltran fight for a minute here. Unless, Robbie, you want to talk about Michaela Mayer some more.
Oh, no. I definitely want to talk about the Beltran Pedraza, because I didn't like the way ESPN was trying to sell that fight last night. They were basically saying that Pedraza is a good fighter, but Beltran is going to find his way through. Beltran is going to be the next opponent for Lomachenko. Don't go to sleep on Jose Pedraza. I know this is what ESPN wants. They want Beltran to get through. They want him to fight Lomachenko. But as Tim Bradley put it last night, and I applaud Tim for saying this on national TV. He said, "I hate the style matchup for Ray Beltran to fight Lomachenko." You can't look past Jose Pedraza, man. It's not a foregone conclusion because this is a hometown fight for Ray, because Ray lives in Arizona, that he's going to walk in there and win this fight. If he thinks that, Jose is going to walk out with the belt and he's going to get the title shot with Lomachenko. So I really hated the way ESPN was doing that last night, trying to sell this fight and basically giving Jose Pedraza the shaft and not giving him a chance. He's a much better fighter than what people realize. And if you actually followed this sport, those of you that actually have microphones and paid attention to what's going on, you wouldn't sell the fight that way. I thought that was a total disgrace. Jose Pedraza is going to be quite competitive in this fight, and it would not surprise me if it's a very, very close fight either way. Give me a break.
Robert, on fire tonight. on fire. I agree with you. I don't think it's a pushover fight for Beltran. That's for sure. I'm looking forward. I think that's a good fight. I think that's a solid fight, man. I mean, Pedraza's what? Because he lost to Tank Davis. He's washed now. Nah, I think that's a good fight, man.
I mean, come on. If I had to pick a winner today, I don't know if I could, but ESPN almost wants me to make me go the other way and pick Pedraza just to shove it down their throats.
Let me ask you a question. Okay, we talked about ESPN earlier in their cards and everything, and Andre Ward is now doing the some announcing for ESPN. Why isn't Andre ringside? Why isn't he taking Kriegel's place?
They don't want him ringside.
Kriegel sucks, man. I mean, listen, I don't like it. All right, I don't like his face. All right, I'm sure he doesn't like mine. Of course, everybody likes this, but I mean, come on. I mean, Kriegel is terrible. He really is. Why does everything have to be this teary story? This big human interest piece where I don't get it. Beeb?
I would much rather.
Kriegel reminds me of like a host on HBO Real Sports. He would be better on a show.
Go put him on that fight game with Jim Lampley and Michelle.
Yeah, I mean, there's a place for him. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, it's called The View.
But but it's just not ringside, And then it aggravates me when he tries to argue with like Tim Bradley, and when he tried to argue with like Teddy Atlas, and Teddy Atlas was kind of really, really rude to him.
Hey, that's what he gets.
He was condescending to him. That's why that was part of the reason why he got kicked off the broadcast team. But
he should have been condescending to him. Teddy Atlas, nobody, I'm just saying, I think they should bring Teddy back. I don't like Kriegel.
No, Eric.
So much better.
No,
who do you like better? You like Kriegel or Atlas?
I'd have to flip it. I actually like Kriegel better than Atlas. I can't stand Atlas.
How dare you?
If you ask me who knows more about the sport, I would say Atlas. But
thank you.
Atlas just.
Beeb and I are in agreement that Teddy Atlas should come back. No question about that.
Atlas is just so he is so abrasive. He is so abrasive.
I think it's unanimous that Atlas should come back. I think Robert's on the same page as well, which I appreciate, Robert. That's great.
Do you like Atlas, Robert?
Yes, of course he does. What's not to like?
No, I think Andre Ward and Timothy Bradley would be better at ringside.
I think so too.
Joe Tessitore.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think so too.
Mark Kriegel, he's a good writer. Okay, so if you want to use his talents, have him work with Dan Raphael. Have him do what he does best. Right. He shouldn't be at ringside behind the microphone.
It's not cut out.
But he does do those good like behind the scenes story pieces. He's good at that. He's not bad at that.
They should keep him there. He shouldn't be anywhere near ringside. They should buy him like a seat cushion or something like that and put him in the audience.
Yeah.
No, Andre Ward, Timothy Bradley should be at ringside with Joe Tessitore. I mean, that would, because I would love to hear Andre and Tim go back and forth during a fight, wouldn't you?
The problem with that matchup may be, though, Robbie, they would agree too much. Maybe. I don't know. Sometimes it's good to have a.
I don't know if they would, but okay.
I could be wrong. I'm just saying, because sometimes it's good to have a conflict. Well, you may be right, because they kind of disagreed last night when they were talking about Lomachenko versus a Beltran matchup. How Bradley said that. Yeah. So you're right. You're right, Robbie.
Hey, do you guys know what time it is?
He's a fucking mental case is what he is.
Oh, stop. It's terrible.
Thank God for PBC.
Terrible.
Keeping boxing alive. Fucking. Hey, Beeb, remember when the talking point used to be PBC used to give ESPN so many shitty fights that they got kicked off? So let's do some back and forth here. The card that's coming up next week. Would you say that's a better card than the card last night on ESPN?
No, it's not. It's not a better card, no.
No? No, it's not.
No.
Why do you think the ESPN card was better?
No, I thought you asked me if the PBC card was better than ESPN.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Isn't the PBC card better than the ESPN one from last night? The one that's coming up?
Yes. I thought I misunderstood what you said. I thought you asked me if the ESPN card was better than the PBC card. No.
Other way around. But Aleem
no.
is probably the most 50-50 fight out of the two cards, right?
Yes.
Yeah, even though Aleem got knocked out by what was his name? Centeno?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah, that was a pretty brutal knockout.
But here's the thing, Jason. ESPN just extended their deal with Top Rank though.
Yeah, another 7 years.
Another 7 years, brother. So you're gonna have to deal with this for 7 years.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
They're paying them. That's a deal. It's not like a time buy. That's a deal.
How are you gonna deal with that? No time buys, nothing. They're locked in, baby.
Yeah.
We're gonna be watching Jesse Hart versus Zurdo Ramirez trilogies for a few years to come.
I'm not hating that. I'm not hating that.
Roberto's talking about moving up, Jason. So he's talking about moving up to light heavyweight to avoid Jesse Hart.
Yeah, but the way Jesse Hart called him out last night, I'm sure Top Rank or their guys told him to call him out. So I'm sure they're gonna try to squeeze him back down for one more fight because who else is he gonna fight up there? They're not gonna put him to anybody else.
I don't know.
Who do they have at 168? Do we know? On Top Rank? Do they have anybody good? 175, whatever.
I have no idea.
They got Jesse Hart and they got Zurdo Ramirez. Those are two great guys.
Yeah, why can't they fight?
What's wrong with them? What's wrong with those guys?
Programming, no. Dana White, 1 hour special on Fox News Live right now. It's gonna be a good one. You guys should watch it.
Uncle Dana, son, take a look at my Twitter. Uncle Dana and me, we're tight, son.
Don't you have a picture of Spence, Eric? You should put that picture up.
You got a picture of Al Heyman's underwear on your Twitter, don't you?
Okay, I don't even have I got banned from Twitter for calling Eddie a fucking lanky Botox pumping cunt. He got me banned from Twitter.
Are you banned from Twitter? Are you serious?
From Twitter? Wow, you're you're 100% troll.
I told you to watch how you talk to people. See what happens. You're gonna be like Alex Jones. I told you.
Alex Jones, dude, he makes Twitter likes the white supremacists. Twitter likes those guys.
What's the matter with you, son?
But I was gonna say, man, Wilder versus Fury. Yeah, remember from the fucking last few years, everybody's been saying AJ versus Fury is the biggest fight in England. We can't wait till AJ versus Fury happens. And now, as soon as AJ and Heyman come and take it from under his nose, we don't want to see that shit. Why? We don't need to see that. Fury looks like shit. He needs more tune-up fights. And then Eddie says 2 months ago, Fury wanted too much money for tune-ups, man. I can't give him these many tune-ups. He needs to come back, take 2 fights, and fight somebody else. That's exactly what he said. Remember, Beeb?
Yep.
He said, I don't want to sign him because he's asking too much money for bums. I mean, now he's like, he's not ready for Wilder. I mean, these guys have no fucking integrity, man. Even Aram cut last night schooled Eddie. I think it's because Eddie's trying to sign Manny. Aram said Povetkin versus AJ small potatoes compared to Wilder versus Fury. He said Wilder versus Fury is a real fight. Did you guys see that on Fight Hype?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I think it is. I mean,
I think that's Eric. He's mad at Eddie because he's trying to go behind his back and trying to recruit Manny. You know, I kind of felt Andy beat him for the Saucedo purse bid, like $1.6 million, when Aram never bids that much for small fights. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I tell you,
going on over there.
Robert brought up a real good point. He brought up a real good point, and he says that this deal with Fury and Wilder could really leave Joshua out in the cold and fighting Dillian White. And that's not going to be that. I mean, I don't know. I'm not real interested in that fight because we saw how the first one ended. I mean, it didn't leave a lot of, things to be desired. It didn't leave me wondering, wow, what if Dillian would have landed this? That could be, I mean, if it's a close fight, they're going to have a rematch, and that ties it up for a while. So I don't know, man.
And, Eric, think about this. Say the Wilder Fury fight does well on pay-per-view over here. And, say we get close to 1 million pay-per-view buys for that fight. It turns out to be a top-notch match like we think it might be. and it ends in a close fight either way. They could very easily do a rematch and tell AJ and Eddie, well, look at what we did. Can you do this?
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be anywhere near 1 million pay-per-view buys, but because I don't think they're like Fury and Wilder. I don't think they're that famous in America like that.
What are you talking about? He's promoted by Heyman. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but Espinoza said 200K is a 200. Dude, Al Heyman's trying to kill pay-per-view. Like, this is like, he doesn't like doing pay-per-view anymore since Mayweather's retired. PBC's whole motto is based on not doing pay-per-view.
So he's not going to promote his own fighter?
Yeah, they're going to, but 200-300K is what I'm guessing, and that's what Espinoza told Nets from TBV. That's what he's expecting to. He said if you pass 200-300, that'll be a success. All these fucking losers in the chat, like boxing is beer, saying PBC is trash. Like Lara versus Hurt was trash. Like, man, how are these guys boxing fans? They're like bashing Wilder versus Ortiz, Lara versus Hurt, Leah versus Mara. Like, these are good fights. I don't know why people are bashing this just because they were on PBC.
I think it's just because you're on the air. And you defend PBC to the hilt because you're a fanboy. So
what do you guys think of a Tank versus Mara? Is that fight really that bad?
It's not. I mean, I don't want to see it. I mean, I don't know. I don't. I'm not.
Don't you think he's the best opponent of Tank today?
No.
He's probably giving the best fight today.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Mara's coming off a loss. He's coming off.
The best?
I don't know. I don't know, man. That fight doesn't do it for me though. It doesn't really do it for me.
Yeah, but he didn't get dominated. He didn't get dominated by Leo. Leo threw like a fucking 1,000 punches. That's the kind of fighter he is, He didn't get dominated. Maybe 8-4, 7-5.
Yeah, that fight was a lot, was not as close as that first one.
Also, hey, didn't Lomachenko fight like Jason Sosa and Mariaga after losses, and he brought them up from like 126 pounds? Didn't he do that also? Is my memory kind of hazy, or am I right?
I don't remember.
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Hey, Robbie.
Robert. Did Robert drop?
Is Robbie there?
I don't know. I guess not.
I hear some. Hey, Beeb, are you there?
Yes.
Where'd everybody go? Hey,
I'm here.
Lomachenko fight Mariaga after he came off a loss on 126, and Jason Sosa after he almost lost at 126 and he brought him up? Didn't that happen, or am I wrong?
That happened, yes. Yes, it happened.
Lomachenko is a boxing god in pound for pound after beating 122-pounders and 126-pounders coming off losses. But Tank, a 23-year-old kid who's still learning, he can't fight Mars. I just hate these double standards, and nobody else points them out. And then people like Robbie like to call me PBC a lover. And
well, listen, you can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways. You can't say that Tank is still learning. That Tank is still learning.
Robbie's not going to point this out. Beeb might point it out, but if I don't point it out, nobody's going to point this out.
You can't say that Tank is still learning, but AJ needs to fight Wilder or AJ needs to fight somebody because AJ's still learning. You can't have these double standards.
Yeah, but AJ.
But you do.
AJ's the unified heavyweight champ.
So
AJ
what?
beat Vladimir Klitschko, didn't he?
So what?
AJ beat Vladimir Klitschko, didn't he?
So?
AJ beat Vlad, right?
Yeah, we all saw it.
Tank only beat Pedraza. He didn't beat fucking Lomachenko. If he beat Lomachenko, I wouldn't be saying he's learning.
He's not going to beat Lomachenko.
So that's the difference right there.
Yeah. The difference is he can't beat Lomachenko. Not even close. That's not even a close fight.
He can. So. Yes, he can. Why can't he? If Salido can,
he could.
Can.
You know what? Yeah, you know what? You're right.
Salido
Tank could
had like 12 losses.
You know what? You're right. Tank could beat Lomachenko if Lomachenko broke his leg on the way to the ring and stuff like that. Yeah, I can imagine he could.
Did Loma break his leg on the way to the Salido fight? Or what, did he break his nuts? What happened?
He knocked him out, didn't he? Didn't he knock him out?
Who, Salido? He knocked Salido out? He lost to Salido, Eric. What's wrong with you? You okay?
Not Salido.
You on that gym?
Not Salido, you fool.
Salido,
the last
he lost
one.
to Salido, right? He got dropped on his ass.
In his second fight. In his second fight, you moron. It was his second pro fight.
He had like 10
you
pro
moron.
fights in Europe before he came to America.
Come on.
No,
he didn't.
Fights in Europe
they don't count those. They don't count those as pro fights. No, they don't.
I count those.
Oh well, you do. Oh well, Jason does. So we got to. Yeah, we definitely.
Are those with 22-ounce gloves? Those fights?
Yeah, they were with 22-ounce gloves, so they don't count.
Let Beeb talk, Eric. Let Beeb talk.
Let him ask you the 22-ounce question.
So you're trying to ask me if those World Series of boxing fights count as in the pros?
They're not. They don't.
They don't count. They don't count.
They don't count, son.
They don't count.
Hey, Beeb.
Yes.
Yeah, and what about his 400 amateur fights, like 500 almost? What about those?
What about them?
Those are amateur fights.
They're amateur fights, son.
Yeah.
But nobody's had an amateur career that long in fucking history of boxing, probably, right?
You'd be surprised.
Yeah, right.
I mean, this guy was like a 25-year-old beating on 16-year-olds. I mean, this guy's a bully. He likes to beat those kids, like 122 Rigo, 126 Mariaga, 126 Jason Sosa. You know, he likes to beat little kids. So that's what it is. If we're gonna bash Tank, we better be bashing Loma too. That's my only point. We can't be making Loma pound for pound king for beating a fucking 40-year-old Rigo that came up from 122, and then bash Tank for beating fucking Mares.
Wow,
we can't be doing that shit.
Wow. Your sickness
I'm
goes
back, guys.
deep, son. I didn't know you were gone.
Robbie, I have a question, Robbie.
Okay.
You know how people are bashing kind of Tank? They're like saying Mares is coming off a loss in 126 pounds. You never even hearing that?
Yeah.
Didn't Loma fight fucking Mariaga after a loss and he came up from 126? And Jason Sosa, I think he almost lost the fight before he fought Loma at 126. Didn't he do that?
Yes, that's correct.
And didn't Loma also fight a 122 pounder, like a 40-year-old Rigo inactive guy?
Yeah.
And ESPN made him pound for pound king after that fight.
I feel like I'm on court TV right now. I'm gonna have to answer all these questions.
Right. And you know exactly where he's going with it. He's just gonna put it
interrogated here. Hey, you want to pull up the polygraph while you're at it? Jesus Christ!
Say that again, Beeb?
I said, we want to pull out the polygraph while you're at it. You're grilling us here. What did we do?
Cross-examining.
No.
Cross-examining us.
Why do you guys get so much hate for Tank?
Dude,
you sound like Rudy Giuliani right now.
You know, these facts don't come up too often.
These facts don't come up because they're not important, all right?
These are like dummy graphics, though.
126 pounders coming off a loss. You got to do the same with Loma.
Somebody said Jason's acting like Judge Mathis. Hey, Jason, Nacho's on the phone. Nacho's on the line. Do you have anything to say to him before he comes on? Because you always seem to be attacking Nacho.
Nacho, is he the one who cleans Oscar's kitchen utensils? Ask him, is he the one?
How dare you?
That's disrespectful. You can't say that to Nacho. You cannot say that to Nacho.
Thank you for your call, Jason.
You ran you. Robbie got rid of him. You can catch Jason on Twitter. It's at I love Al Heyman. So there you go. You can catch him on Twitter there.
His
tag.
Twitter account got exposed, so
wow.
he may not even be on there anymore.
Wow, Robbie just ruined the joke. All right.
Yeah.
Area code 805. 805. You're live.
Hey, what's up, guys?
And you don't have to respond to him, by the way.
No, I won't bother justifying his bullshit.
Okay. That's right.
As far as that fight that he kept bringing up right now, how is this dude trying to say that he's still learning, having to fight a guy like Abner Mares when he just won a second belt at 130 pounds? Like, what two-time belt holder is still learning?
Wait a minute. I was away for a couple of minutes. Who are we talking about?
He was talking about Gervonta Davis fighting Mares.
Davis doesn't have to learn anything. What planet
exactly.
is he
on? This guy's full of shit. Like, he picks and chooses his hypocrisy when he feels like it justifies his bullshit.
What are they going to do? Create another belt called the WBC Learning Belt? What are they going to do?
Hey, B,
what are they going to do?
That division will wear 22-ounce gloves, the learning division.
Oh, my God.
You're on in that division as well.
And he wonders why the hell he got kicked off of Twitter. You can purposely see why. Jeez.
Yeah.
Trolling on Twitter.
All right, enough of that.
Anyway, go on to yesterday's fight, Nacho.
Yeah,
because you always do good with those.
As far as the Fury Pianeta fight, I watched that. That was basically like a glorified sparring session. You know, Pianeta basically was just there to, make Fury look good. Fury had his moments, and he did look a lot better, having lost almost 20 pounds versus the previous fight, and he did shake off some more of the rust. I still don't think he's ready to fight Wilder. I think they should have given him at least one more fight to really get him in better shape and prove that he could take on a better guy. Because fighting Pianeta doesn't prove that he's ready for Wilder. I don't see it.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that, Nacho. But now there's too much money involved. Showtime's going to put this on pay-per-view. It's going to be on pay-per-view in the UK. I mean, this is a train that isn't going to stop now. Whether he's ready or not, it's going to happen.
Yeah. No, I'm sure it is. Yeah, they've already signed it, and it is what it is. I think it's a cash out for Fury, to be honest. I mean, why else would he take the fight after fighting two nobodies? It doesn't make any sense. The other fight, it was just like I called it last week, Robbie. I didn't know who the hell Luke Jackson was, and last night he proved it. He basically just showed up to get beat up by Carl Frampton. Frampton looked good, like Eric said, but God, Jackson pretty much was just there as a punching bag. He really didn't provide any.
You're good with breaking down fights. How do you think he'll do against Warrington if that fight comes off?
I think that fight's a lot more competitive. I think Warrington is a way better fighter than Donaire and Luke Jackson. So I'll put it this way. I think Warrington could legitimately win that fight. As much as I like Carl Frampton, I think Warrington will ask questions of Frampton that his last two fights haven't. And so it'll be interesting to see when that fight happens, because I think Warrington's a real fighter compared to this guy he just fought last night. That dude had no business being in there. You could see why they brought him from Australia. That guy he was basically a punching bag there to get hit. But I think it should be a good fight between Frampton and Warrington. I definitely can't wait to see that one. As far as the ESPN card, I agree with you guys with the Jennings fight. Like, I don't understand why the ref basically went out of his way to give a stoppage to Jennings when it looked like Jennings was going to get the stoppage anyway. And that was a terrible stoppage in that he didn't even give the guy a count. He didn't look to see if he was okay. He just basically waved off the fight as soon as he hit the ground from that knockdown. And I was going like, wait, like, how do you just wave the fight off if the guy pops back up and he's basically saying he can still fight? Like, it didn't make any sense. I just felt like the referee was totally, biased towards Jennings, and he gave him, like the benefit of a doubt, and he just handed him that win, which he didn't need to do because Jennings was pretty much outclassing Dimitrenko anyway, and I think he was going to stop him, but that was a disappointing ending. As far as the other fight, Hart did what he was supposed to do. Yeah, Jesse Hart he did what he was supposed to do against Gavronski. Gavronski is basically a journeyman with a really good record, but he hadn't fought anybody. And sure enough, Hart put him away in a few rounds, and he just basically outclassed him. I wouldn't mind seeing the rematch against Gilberto Ramirez, but I'm kind of starting to wonder if Ramirez isn't looking just to fight a unification and then eventually just move up. I don't see him sticking around much longer to fight Hart. I can see him trying to go after, the winner of Groves, Callum Smith, or maybe even the Yuskategi fight, because Yuskategi is not with Al Heyman, so maybe they might try to make that fight even. But I just don't see him giving Hart another fight. I think he probably moves up before that happens again. And as far as the fight this weekend, I agree with you guys. I can't believe people are actually thinking that Beltran is going to beat Pedraza like he's a nobody. I think Pedraza is the younger, fresher, stronger fighter, and Beltran hasn't looked all that great in his last couple of fights. And he should have technically lost his last fight against Moses. I thought he kind of got a somewhat gift decision in that fight. And he's kind of getting to that point of he's getting close to being, over the hill. And I think Pedraza ends up pushing him, off the cliff, and he beats him.
Now, if Pedraza wins, we know how talented Lomachenko is. Will Pedraza present anything to Lomachenko that he hasn't dealt with before, or is Lomachenko still going to walk over him like he would Beltran?
I would say that Pedraza would maybe give him some trouble at the beginning just because he's a big guy for a 35er, and Loma tends to be a small guy for a 35er. So I think the first few rounds of that fight would be somewhat competitive, and that Pedraza would present some problems. But I think eventually Lomachenko would figure out how to outbox him and get him out of there. I think he does the same thing. He does the same thing that Usyk just did to Gassian. I think
Beltran's a good fighter, but I don't see Beltran being competitive at all.
Oh, no way.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah, he gets taken apart in that fight.
It would almost be better if Pedraza manages to find a way to steal that title to make it a more competitive fight.
I don't think he's going to steal it, Robbie. I think he's just going to outright take it. I feel like Pedraza's the younger, fresher guy, and I think he's going to go out there and take it.
No, that's the way I'm leaning, because especially after what ESPN did last night, I thought that was disgusting. You talk about Jose Pedraza like he's got no chance in hell of winning the fight. It makes me want to say, well, screw you, because he's going to win that fight anyway.
Yeah, it's like both Ward and Tim Bradley were just totally overlooking him, which I was shocked, because it's like, as fighters, you guys should know who's a real fighter and who's just basically, a paper, like somebody who's just built up. And I don't think Pedraza's built up. I think he's a legit guy, and I think he's going to beat Beltran. I just think he's going to get Beltran at the right time in his career. Beltran's up there, and he's struggled his last couple fights, and I think he beats him. I think he ends up beating him, and he takes that belt.
So you're taking Pedraza. You're taking Pedraza to beat Beltran.
Yeah, I'm picking.
Right. Well, Eric? I think I'm going to do the same thing.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with Beltran. I think I'm going to stick with Beltran. Beeb, you taking Beltran in that fight?
I'm taking Beltran, yeah. A couple people in the chat are picking Pedraza, too. Wow, I'm surprised.
I don't hate that. I don't hate that. I think it's going to be more competitive than people think. That's for sure. Pedraza's not a bad fighter for sure.
No.
He's a very good fighter, man. I just think Beltran's got a little bit more. But, yeah, man, I don't...
He gets hit a lot, though, Pedraza, too. His face busts up a lot.
Yeah.
He's not the most durable guy in the world, either.
Yeah. Anything else, Nacho?
No, that's pretty much it, guys. I'll talk to you guys next week.
All right, man.
Cool.
Great call as usual, man. He's got a good knack for breaking those fights down.
Yeah.
He could give Mr. Beeb there a run for his money for breaking down fights, man. Beeb does a good job, but not just a close second, man.
How dare you? This is our own Beeb. Who do you think you are? What's the matter with you? We're talking about Beeb Industries.
Trying to get me fired, huh, Robbie?
What's the matter with him? Beeb. What's going on with him?
No.
What's the matter with you?
I would never do that. I've worked with
on the unemployment line.
Disrespects the Beeb on this show.
Put me on the unemployment line. We have to start selling pencils.
He'll be on the corner selling oranges.
Don't take it that way.
Oh my God! Would you like fries with that, everybody?
See, he's got it down. See, he doesn't ask you. He said, you just got to say you want fries with that. Not would you like this? Not a question. You know what I'm saying? See, this is things you got to learn.
There you go.
That's how you upsell, baby. You got to upsell.
That's how you got to roll.
That brings up another point. Did you guys see Lennox Lewis last night coaching Jennings?
Yeah, what's up? What was up with that? Why was are they like real good friends or what?
I'm wondering if the Jennings camp is bringing in Lewis to work with Jennings.
Oh, that's not a bad idea. That's for sure.
Why was Lewis even? Not that I mind, but why was Lewis even there? I was surprised. It was weird.
Yeah, I was surprised too. Where was that fight? Where was that fight again?
Yeah, it was in Atlantic City.
Yeah, and Bernard Hopkins was there too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but it makes me wonder: is Lennox Lewis working his way into being a trainer? Maybe Jennings being his first client.
And you know what else I was wondering too? Not to get off topic, since we talked about Bernard Hopkins, in the first Canelo fight with GGG, we saw Bernard Hopkins a lot, but we haven't seen him that much in the build up to this fight. Well, maybe it's because they're not doing press conferences and stuff. So yeah, that's probably the difference.
Yeah. Maybe.
All right. As we go to our train record of the week, remember that we're out of here at 9:00 sharp. So If you're going to call in now and, get your point across. All right, Beeb, it's time.
Brianna, you want to do the train wreck? Want to do the train wreck? You can do the train wreck. Hurry up.
Don't rush her.
Chugga, choo, choo.
Good job. That was good. That was a twist on it, too. I like that. It flowed and everything like that. It it up. That's the thing.
Good job.
It up. Beeb sounds like a stuck pig when he's doing it. This sounded great. This was like melodious. Beeb is just awful when he does it. All right, train wreck of the week. Billy Joe Saunders and Deontay Wilder get into it at Nando's. A video surfaced of Billy Joe Saunders getting chased out of Nando's by Deontay Wilder and his crew. Nando's is apparently a restaurant over in England or Ireland, or I think this is both. He's got a lot of restaurants, man. There was a couple of videos out there, and what actually happened is up for debate. What is not up for debate is Billy Joe Saunders was actually chased out of there. I don't think it was Wilder. I think it was one of his entourages, another big guy, slipped and fell on the way out of there, on the way chasing him out of there. It was kind of funny. Billy Joe Saunders did an interview with IFL and claimed to have thrown a piece of chicken at Wilder. If you've seen the video, it's pretty wild. It's a wild scene. Not really the best way to get your name out there, and especially Wilder, who's trying to gain fans and everything like that. Not the best thing to do. So it was funny though. Like I said, he chased him out of there, and I mean, Saunders was moving, man. He was like motoring out of there. So I don't know. Pretty crazy.
My question would be, why would Billy Joe Saunders be trying to do anything with Wilder? Billy Joe Saunders should be concentrating on his own career and getting ready for his next fight.
Well, I think he's friends with Fury. I think he was in the Fury. You saw him in the ring last night with Fury after the fight and everything like that. Yeah. So I think he's really good friends with Fury, and I think he just happened to turn up. They just kind of turned up at the same place. Apparently, Nando's, I thought it was like a chicken. I think it's a chicken place. I thought it was like a fast food restaurant or something like that, but it looked like a really nice place, man. I wouldn't mind eating there if it was stateside.
Yeah.
But, it's not. So we just have to dream about Nando's. Me and Robert just dream about chicken. There you go. All right. Mia St. John. And remember, every story that you hear this week on the news can double as the train wreck of the week. I feel like we ought to bring Brianna back in. I don't know. For every story. I don't know. Mia St. John. You remember her, Robert? Mia St. John?
Yes, I do.
You spent time with her back in the day. You spent time with her. Mia St. John decided to stand up for Canelo Alvarez on Twitter after Golovkin called his middleweight challenger the most unpleasant and dirtiest opponent I've ever had. This was Golovkin's words on Canelo Alvarez. Mia St. John fired back and says, "Whatever, everyone does it, and everyone in boxing knows it." Then admitted that she used performance-enhancing substances during her own career, including Decadurabolin, which is a steroid, and including all kinds of other stuff. Little surprised that Mia St. John came to his defense. I don't know, what the deal was or whatever. But
one thing I'll say about that is every time I've seen Triple G or heard anything about him, he seems to be extremely pissed off during this whole thing. And I don't know if that's a good way to go into a fight, because sometimes if you're angry before a fight, it can affect you during a fight, and you could wind up losing. I don't really like this look by GGG, constantly looking like he's angry and doesn't have anything nice to say. Granted, we know what Canelo did. We know what happened. We know it cost Triple G a major payday in May, but why carry this forward? I don't think it's going to help you in the fight. I don't like this look.
I'll tell you what, I don't either. And I the further this fight goes, I tell you, I don't think that Canelo's not going to get the decision here. And again, we'll make our picks official in a few weeks and everything.
Right.
But I think I'm going to have to take Canelo again in this fight. I just have a feeling. I don't. If Triple G doesn't knock him out, I think Canelo wins on a decision. I just do. I don't,
I just hope to God we don't. If it's a decision, no matter which way it goes, Eric, I hope to God we don't have any more ridiculous scorecards, because that's all we need.
Let me ask
that's the whole reason why they did the rematch in the first place, is because of the Adelaide Bird scorecard. If this thing has to go 12 rounds and it has to go to a decision, God help us if there's a weird scorecard. But as a person who likes Gennady Golovkin, I don't like what he's doing here. This is out of his character, and this is not how you conduct yourself when you're going to go into a rematch here. Beeb, you're the boxing person who breaks down fights. Do you like what the attitude that Triple G is putting forth here?
I do. I like him to be a little bit angry. I like him to be aggressive now, have an attitude like he wants to go in there and blast Canelo out of there, because in the first fight, admittedly, he said he was caught up in the moment because it was his biggest fight. It was really his first time on the big stage. Canelo's been there before when he fought Mayweather, when he's fought Cotto. He's been in big pay-per-views before, and Golovkin hasn't. So I kind of like this meaner Golovkin. I think it could probably serve him well in this fight. I think that he'll be more aggressive, and I think Canelo's going to knock him out late. And I also believe that that if it does go to the scorecards, he is going to get a fair shake, because I already went over this before, but I'll just touch upon it briefly again. It's because we saw what happened with Adelaide Bird. We saw what happened with the Nevada State Athletic Commission after the fight, how many embarrassing questions they had to ask, and how much embarrassment the whole commission had to deal with because of not only her scorecard, but the other guy that had the 7th round for Canelo, was the most decisive round. What was it, Robbie?
Don Trella had the 7th
Don Trella, correct. He had the 7th round for Canelo when that was clearly a Golovkin round. So to sit there and think that they're going to allow this fight to be scored incorrectly again, or not even allowed, but to think that a judge would not look back at what happened in the first fight and say to themselves, I don't want to be that judge where everyone's posting memes about me and everyone's calling me corrupt and this and that and the third. I just find it hard to believe that it's going to happen again twice in a row, because De La Hoya back in the day got that decision against Pernell Whitaker, against Ike Corti.
Yeah.
He was getting razor close decisions too. And then after a while, it started turning against him, because we saw what happened in the Trinidad fight, how he didn't get the decision there.
The Mosley
so it kind of worked.
Mosley fight, I thought.
Say again?
The second Mosley fight, I thought De La Hoya won that.
Yeah, and then the same thing happened with Mosley. So it started going against him because people didn't want to have that negative cloud over their head, like what that we're in the bag for the house fighter. No one wants to have that scrutiny held over them, especially the judge. Especially what happened with Adelaide Bird. How many memes she was being made fun of at every turn. All the negative press she got. Do you think another judge wants to be in that same position again? So that's why I don't think that he's going to get a gift decision again. And here's another thing too. He's coming off a longer layoff, coming off knee surgery. Canelo is, and he just looks smaller to me. He doesn't look the same physically. And also he fought the fight of his life, and he still lost him on my card. So
you said you think Canelo is going to knock him out late?
No, Golovkin's going to knock him out.
Oh, you think? Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Did I say Canelo?
Yeah, I thought you did.
Yeah, you said.
That's why I was shocked. I was like, whoa.
I apologize. I meant to say Golovkin's going to knock him out late. I apologize. Right. I misspoke. Yeah, I think Golovkin's going to stop him late.
So interesting. You like the new Triple G being angry.
I do.
Expect him during the fight. But...
And Canelo being angry, I think it's a different type of anger, because he's like frustrated.
Yeah.
He's fighting all the negativity. He's the one that has to prove that I'm clean this time. And, he may try harder this time. And by him trying harder, that's going to play more into Triple G's hands than the other way around, in my opinion. Because he may move less. He may fight a machismo style type fight in this fight, and it could be to his undoing, in my opinion.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
I'm looking forward to the 24/7. It should be fascinating to see what these two are like.
I think just the fact that Canelo requested that they don't see each other, they don't want to see each other until, you know what I mean? They don't want to see each other until the final weigh-in or press conference or whatever. That's the only time they'll be together. That's the only press they're doing. I mean, they're going to do calls and all that other stuff, but nothing in workouts and everything. But that's it. You know, I think that says a lot. That's that's not something we see from Canelo that often, if ever. You know, and he's in a weird space right now. And yeah, this could play against him.
You know, and he's like, seems like he's just irritated. He's upset. He's the one that said he didn't want to do the press. And I just think he's got a lot weighing on him going into this fight. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that's going to serve him well. Whereas Golovkin says, feels that I won the first fight. Everyone feels I won the first fight. I wasn't the one that did anything wrong. This guy was, the person that did anything wrong. He hit me with his best shot, didn't do nothing to me. So, he probably has a different mindset going into this fight, in my opinion, I believe. And he was the one that said, when asked about Canelo's power, it wasn't nothing special. But then when Canelo was asked about Golovkin's power, he said on a scale of 1 to 10, it was like an 8 or a 9. So he's totally acknowledging that Golovkin has power and can hurt him, where it's not being reciprocated on Golovkin's side of the fence.
Yeah, I think that bothers him too. I really do. All right. Next caller.
From this day, you'll be my new fool.
Georgie.
Hello, Georgie. What's up?
Hey, what's happening, guys? What's going on?
What's the word?
Hey, Georgie.
Listen, you can be putting me on hold forever, man. My Obama minute's gonna run out. And Trump ain't giving shit.
It's Obama.
You guys gonna let me? What the fuck is going on here? We don't budget. Fucking Robbie went homeless. He blame it on the fucking fire. Now you ain't got no background.
Hey, I actually had a background.
I know, man.
Brother, what's going?
We're remodeling the downstairs. My studio and everything like that is being remodeled. So I'm out here now.
Beeb Enterprise thinking. Beeb Enterprise.
What we've done is we've hired
financing this whole thing.
We've hired a construction crew at Beeb Industries. We hired a construction crew at Beeb Industries. We're going to send the team down there tomorrow, Monday morning. The studio is going to be restructured. It'll be all set for next week.
That's awesome, and thank you so much for that, Beeb.
Beautiful tax write-off at Beeb Industries.
Hey, make sure he's licensed on the town hall. Go to the town hall. Make sure he's licensed.
That's right.
I got to get the permit. I got to make sure he has a permit.
Yo, listen, I didn't watch the fight. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I didn't watch a fucking thing. I don't know what happened. Did Fury knock the dude out? Or what the fuck happened? I think it went 12 rounds, right? Did it?
It went the full 10 rounds, and he won a unanimous decision.
10 rounds? That shit was 10 rounds?
Yep.
And then he's going to go fight for the WBC?
That's correct.
Kind of, oh my Jesus. That smells like paycheck all over it. That don't even sound serious, brother.
Of course it's a paycheck. The biggest of his life, man. It's gonna be on United States pay-per-view, brother. So you gotta pay to watch it.
I ain't paying for that shit.
You're not gonna
watch it.
You're not gonna pay for your Wilder Fury, Georgie?
Nah. Like Beeb said, I'm a Wilder hater.
Okay, wait a minute. Now, are you going to pay for Canelo Triple G?
Yeah, that I will pay for all day long.
Okay. Wait a minute. Let me get this straight. You're going to pay for Canelo Triple G, but you're not going to pay for a heavyweight classic, which this could be?
Listen, I'm going to tell you straight up. The notion that Deontay Wilder can be the undisputed unified champion of the world make me sick. It just make me sick. I see these WrestleMania. I don't want to go back beating that old dog. But the notion that this man for 30 cruiserweights, not even real heavyweights, never make a 12 fight until the 23 fight. and we can go on and on. And this man being close from 2 fights to be undisputed, it make me sick. I'm sorry. I'm coming clean.
So you, if you had a pick in the fight, you'd be picking Tyson Fury to beat him, right?
I don't give a fuck about Fury, because he going there for a paycheck. Fury is serious, brother. How the fuck you gonna do a 10-round fight and then you're gonna go for the bell when you're coming out of that fucking crack bench that you went on? I don't know, Robbie. You lost me there. I don't know. There are a lot of other fights on boxing that I'm more interested in.
Look, I don't make these decisions, Georgie, but they signed the contract. It's a done deal.
Oh, hoop-titty-hoop-titty-hoo. Great for them. I mean, love it. Everybody who want to watch the fight, I ain't cut blocking that. Go ahead, watch your fight, but I really don't care too much about that Wilder Fury shit.
Times are tough, Robbie. We can't tell people how to spend their hard-earned dollars, baby. We can't do it.
I can't believe this. One of our biggest supporters actually hates a big fight.
He doesn't.
I don't hate a big fight, baby. Don't get it wrong, but it's like I'm not really a Lomachenko. A lot of people got Lomachenko as #1 in the world. Straight up #1. Crawford 1, maybe 2. They're between whatever you want to choose between either one of them. But I don't like Lomachenko. The notion that this man with 3 fights fought for 2 different belts, that should enrage people. Outrage you, like, what the fuck is going on? Why the guy who fucking climbing up the ladder, they haven't even make it to number 10, been there for fucking 2 or 3 years prior to this motherfucker showing up. But because he's Lomachenko and got the push from the machine, then he gets to fucking title fight in 3 fights.
That is kind of amazing how he got a title shot right after he lost his first fight.
Look,
big money fight.
Granted, the way he did things is rather unusual, but apparently when he was talking to different promoters, when he decided to go pro, he basically told them, "If you want me to sign with you, I have to be in a title fight." And so Bob Arum put him in one.
I understand how.
I don't know if he did that. I mean, no way we can figure out what he actually said when he was talking to Arum.
Right for these people who have fucking make their waiting, try to climb to the fucking top 10, get fucking John Frog the fuck all the way to first, some dude who just coming up. That's outrageous.
Georgie's right, man. I got to give it to him.
Some motherfucker cross you over saying that he was there before you.
I got to give it to him. That's like being in a union, all right? And then the promotion comes up, and then you've been there for 20 years, and the guy just walks on the job and gets the promotion, man. That hurts, baby. That hurts.
It does.
We don't operate like that at Beeb Industries. We appreciate loyalty and time served.
Unless you are not on those people's position, you don't give a fuck.
That's right, Georgie. That's right. When I worked at McDonald's, man, for 5 years, when I was 16 years old, I didn't want some guy just taking over my grill walking off the street. Beeb was territorial with his grill. Can't take the grill from the Beeb.
They don't have grills at McDonald's. It's that fry thing, isn't it?
Oh, we got grills at McDonald's.
Grill? It's not a grill. That's at Burger King.
It's a grill. We have a grill.
It's a flat top.
We call the flat top a grill too, Eric.
Oh, get out of here.
What's going on?
You gotta learn the terminology. You gotta learn the terminology. It's a flat top.
Yo.
Go ahead, Georgie.
I'm sorry, Georgie.
The Canelo Triple G undercard, did they put more fights on it?
We talked about that last week.
They got some good they got some good fights on there. Who was it? Some good let's see here.
I thought I heard today that they put some new one. Nothing new?
Yeah, let me see here. Let me look it up real quick. I got you. Hold on.
We'll look it up here. Hang on.
That's Spike O'Sullivan, David Lemieux. Is that the Spike O'Sullivan, David Lemieux? That's on there, right?
I believe so. Now it's saying TBA, but it hasn't been signed yet. But yeah, that's the rumor is Spike O'Sullivan, and then Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez is fighting on there also.
Yeah.
So yeah, not too bad. I'm not hating it.
No.
So they're gonna pack it. They're gonna pack it. As you see, that's how they got to do this pay-per-view. You got to put some of all the talents there. The people, I mean, talking about that fight, I got a pivot. I'm picking Canelo by robbery.
I'm not touching that one this time, man. I'm not touching that one.
I'm gonna take it. I'm picking Golovkin. Okay. I'll take it, Georgie. I'll take it. I'm picking Golovkin.
All right. Tommy Boxeo was saying Lemieux versus Sullivan is confirmed. It's on BoxRec, and you know what? I believe him. So there.
Yeah, that's a pretty good fight. That's a pretty good fight.
Not a bad fight at all. Yeah, I like that.
That should be a good fight to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be the co-main.
That's a good That's a good pay-per-view to watch. Definitely on that HD that they charge you the extra fucking $10-15. The 4K shit. That's definitely gonna be a top pay-per-view of the year for me. I no miss. But
excuse me.
Hey, yeah, that pay-per-view is boxing Super Bowl. So,
It is. It's supposed to be good. Because the last fight was pretty even, regardless of what everybody say. I got Triple G winning by a round, not much, but it was pretty close.
Well, remember, Georgie, when they fought last time, I picked Triple G, but yet I ended up scoring it for Canelo. So there you go.
What did you have it, Robbie? 115, 113, Robbie?
Yes. As a matter of fact, I am.
Well, legally, but anyways, I don't have a lot to say, guys. Got to get going. Always love talking to you. Everybody out there, support the channel. They only ask for a thumb up. So there you go, people.
Thanks, Georgie.
See you, Georgie.
All right, Georgie.
Good call as always, man. All right. Good to see Tommy Boxeo in the chat, man. He's always got good things to say about us, man. We appreciate you showing up.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us tonight, Tommy.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Let's see here. Joe Joyce signed with Al Heyman this week. Joe Joyce signed with Al Heyman in the PBC. Joyce is a heavyweight, and he is 5-0 with 5 knockouts. Beeb, good move?
Yes. I think it's a good move, yeah. It's good to get some connections if you're a UK fighter with the US, and Al Heyman's been in the business for a while, and he's got a big stable. So,
200 fighters and plenty of heavyweights.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. The only problem is, because the stable's so big, will you get the attention that you need? But he's got a good team around him. He's got David Haye, he's got Richard Schaefer. So I think it's a good move. I think it opens up the doors for a potential Deontay Wilder fight somewhere down the road, a Luis Ortiz fight somewhere down the road. So I think it's a good move. I think it will help him get some opportunities over this side of the pond.
Do you think that they move him at a good pace, or do you think they just try to rush him?
Joe Joyce? No, I think he's being moved at a good pace.
Okay.
You asked me, do I think they will keep him at a good pace? Yeah, I think they'll. You know what's funny? I could probably see him in there with like a Dominic Brazil or Amir Mansour, probably in the near future.
Yeah, and I don't hate that. I mean, I'd rather him get some stuff under his belt.
Yeah. See him in there with a Tony Thompson or something like that.
Yeah, I agree. All right, and then let's see here. This next story is just turns my stomach, man. This is awful, just awful. Carlos Baldemir, and you guys remember him? He faced Floyd Mayweather back in the heyday, and everybody, Zab Judah.
Yes.
You guys remember that?
Yep.
Facing 20 years, according to Diario Democracia. I guess that's a newspaper. Prosecutor Alejandra del Rio Ayala has requested 20 years in prison for former world champion Carlos Manuel Baldemir, who's 47 years old, who's being charged with alleged sexual abuse of his own daughter in the city of San
Francisco. Oh my God.
Disgusting.
The investigation began October 29th in 2016 as a result of a complaint made by the victim's mother. For his part, on December 26th of 2017, Baldemir has officially been charged as the perpetrator of the crimes. Awful. Just awful.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah. It just turns your stomach, I mean, it really does. Just terrible. Antonio Tarver arrested for domestic violence. TMZ is reporting that Antonio Tarver was arrested Monday for domestic battery after allegedly punching his 18-year-old stepson in the face multiple times. According to the police report, when the cops arrived, they say that his stepson was bleeding from his mouth, and he said that he had been attacked by Tarver, who is identified as his stepfather. So there you go. What is going on there? Do you think? Okay, let me ask you a question. Yeah, like the football players, that CT, what is it? CTE is really.
Yeah.
They can't diagnose it until after you die.
Right. But what I'm saying is, do you think a lot of these guys have it? I mean, they would have to, right? I mean,
it's possible.
With sparring and everything like that.
So. I would think so. Yeah. Ugh.
It's like Chris Benoit. He had some issues with possibly CTE too.
Yeah, everybody blamed it on steroids, but I'm not sure that was the case.
But unfortunately, you can't. Unfortunately, the only test available now apparently is run after a person dies. They have no way to treat it while you're alive, which is
there's no way to diagnose that when you're alive, huh?
No.
Yeah, because they have to get like pieces of your brain or something like that, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's terrible.
There's a whole science project in Boston that's they've got scientists working on this day and night, man. So far, they haven't come up with anything that doctors can use while a person is alive.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So, Beeb, where are the best callers from?
Oh my God, here we go.
I'd have to say Ohio.
I would too. I think they're the best callers out. Area code 6.
A lot of quality calls come from Ohio.
614, you're live.
What's up, guys?
What's up?
What's going on?
I believe it's Marcus, right?
Yep.
From Ohio Runs Boxing. Catch Ohio Runs Boxing on Facebook.
That's right. That's sad about Tarver, man. They say y'all just said it might be CTE. It could be, but to me, it's crack cocaine. That's what that probably is.
Yeah, it could be that too, because he's been known to use that in the past.
Wow.
Yeah. I actually know some of his relatives, and they talk about that. So I know some people that's close to him that actually talk about that.
Oh,
that's not really
terrible.
public, but that's exclusive on this show. But yeah, that could definitely be. But I heard Georgie was talking about Wilder fighting cruiserweights, his first 23 fights.
Yeah, I don't know where he's a Wilder hater. I don't know where he comes up with that.
Yeah, and to me it's crazy too, because he acts like Wilder weigh about 140, 240 something. Man, Wilder is like 115. I mean,
215, 220. You know,
215, man. Like, I mean, he's trying to even bulk up and still coming in the weigh-ins at 214. Like, he's trying to get bigger. So even if he tried to criticize him on those fights back then, he was damn near cruiserweight. Who would you have him fight back at the beginning of his career? Like, come on, man. I just got in a debate with a couple people about Wilder's power, and I was talking about his power, not his skill. Does the guy have power? And the first thing some of the people that don't like Wilder, they say, "But look at his resume." His resume. I said, "It's I'm a resume. He knocked out trash cans. Okay, cool. That's what you want to base it on. If I'm a regular fighter, street fighter, and I knocked out 29 people out of 32." A lot of people don't think I have power, regardless of the professions of who I fought in the street, the people who I knocked out. They're gonna say, you know what, this man got power.
I'd agree with that.
All I can tell you is during 40 fights, all 40 people have eventually went to sleep. Only one went the distance with him,
and he got knocked out the next fight.
For those that don't think he's got power, you better think again.
Absolutely. I'm not saying he's the most skillful. He's been picked against because he don't have the most skills. We know that. I'm basing it. Does he have enough power to knock out Povetkin, AJ?
Dillian White. Does he got that punching power? Yes, he does.
Yeah.
So I don't know why some people use resume to the point like, oh, this is resume. Now, it's skill. Don't get me wrong. You move up in competition, it's going to be a little bit harder for you to get those knockouts because you're fighting different people with skills that can counter, that can actually maneuver from those power punches. But with Tyson Fury, a lot of people saying this is a 50-50 fight. I'm picking Wilder based on Tyson Fury slowing down in the later round. I think Tyson can outbox Wilder. But I think if he's going to be there, he's going to get hit. And when it happens, it's going to be night-night. I don't see him withstanding Wilder's power at all. But it also can be an ugly fight, too.
Yeah.
Where he's jibber-jabbering, not scared to get hit. This fight can actually be sloppy. A lot of people ain't looking at it like that, but this fight can actually be one of those fights where you go like, what? Where Wilder is the chaser.
Hey, well, this fight could go multiple ways just because of their two different styles.
Absolutely. I'm going to pay for it. I'm going to definitely support it.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
For sure. 100% I'm paying for this one.
But I'm not getting the zone. I can tell you that.
No way.
Oh, man. What if the fight was on the zone and that was it?
Hey, you know what? The way I look at it, AJ can be stuck on an app all he wants. If he doesn't want to be on United States TV, then that's his personal problem.
Yeah, what do they do? How are they going to get that fight going? If Wilder wins and AJ, keeps winning or whatever, AJ's like committed to the zone. I guess that would have to be another co-promotion or whatever, I guess.
I don't know. Eddie, now they're trying to say that this Povetkin thing is a one-off. I don't know. I don't know.
You never know.
Another thing too, B. What is up with Abel Sanchez? And I know y'all probably said this before, but it's like he's trying to bait Canelo into fighting Mexican style. Like, to me, this is why I picked Canelo. I mean, I had Canelo winning in the first fight, which it was close, but I had Canelo winning. Which tripped me out is that Abel was talking like him and Triple G lost the first fight. If y'all won the first fight, why are you telling Canelo to fight a certain way? That's confusing to me. You can't tell me you won the fight. Canelo is not going around telling people Triple G needs to fight this way. This team ain't saying that. It's only
number one. I'm not even paying attention to what Abel Sanchez says. I'm paying attention to what Triple G says or what Canelo says. What a trainer says doesn't mean anything because the trainer doesn't have to get in the ring. Keep that in mind.
Right.
If Canelo fights, Canelo fights that way, if Canelo wants to come forward and fight like Julio Cesar Chavez or anybody like that, that definitely favors Triple G, and that's why he's trying to get in his head, and that's why they're all saying that. And Canelo's gonna try to outbox him in this fight, just like he did the first fight. I believe. I think he would be stupid.
That's the smart thing to do because Abel Sanchez has been trying to throw shots at Canelo all through the fight. Even the last fight with Vanez, he was like, Vanez get knocked out. Vanez moved up in weight to fight Triple G. And you know what he said after the fight? He respects Vanez. He stood there. He promised us that he would fight Mexican style. He's knocked out. What the hell are you talking about? He promised y'all. So he promised y'all, and now he on his damn back, and you thank him for that. That's what he said. That's what he said on HBO. He promised that he was
90 seconds.
You got a pound-for-pound fighter, and this is what I like Triple G. I'll be the first to tell. I defended Triple G when people were talking about his resume. He has power. Before he even stepped up in competition, you cannot take his power away. The motherfucker can hit. But what he was doing against Canelo, he was cutting the ring off. He was. Obvious. He was cutting the ring off. He just was afraid to let his hands go because Canelo can counter. So
60 seconds.
The ring off easy. He was walking him down. He just wasn't letting his hands go. And some people, was trying to give him the rounds because he's coming forward, and Canelo wasn't doing as much. That's why I wasn't scoring a lot of rounds. Fortunately, at that, when he was just coming forward and trying to press the fight, they were scoring it for him. I wasn't.
Well, remember during the first fight, before we had a previous show, and I picked Triple G, but I wound up scoring the thing for Canelo. You know, I mean, you have that's the thing. You may pick somebody, but if you're a serious boxing fan and you're going to pay attention and you're going to do a scorecard, you've got to actually pay attention to what's going on in the fight and give it to the person who's
10
actually
seconds.
doing better in your opinion. And I wound up giving it to Canelo. And who knows?
And Robbie, I agree with you. I'm like that. Even when it comes to Ohio fighters, I don't even feel right if I'm giving them a fight or being biased scoring for them. I just don't feel right. It's almost it's like when Broner fought Vargas, I had Vargas winning. I was scoring it live on my Facebook page, and I was saying Broner has to win this round. I said, it's going to be a draw. I said Broner wins. I think it's a draw or Vargas win. I had Vargas winning. So one round, but everybody was like, "Are you crazy?" I said, "Yeah, I have Vargas winning." That's just what I saw. I wasn't looking through little biased gargles and say, "Oh yeah, Broner is winning because he's from Ohio." No,
people from Titletown are fair. We're all fair.
Do y'all remember that movie, Best of the Best?
Yeah.
Yes.
Best of the Best.
Yep.
When Thomas, could have won, and he decided to do the right thing, and at the end, the Koreans gave the medal because they knew they was the ones that won. That's how I feel. I'm not gonna be in a position if I feel y'all won, we're giving y'all the medal, baby.
You know what the best part of that movie was? Best part of that movie was when the guy had his arm popped off, and he goes, "Tommy, pop it, Tommy, pop it." He popped it back in. I love that. Remember that? Come on, Tommy, pop it, Tommy. I could have been in that movie. That's a great scene by the Beeb.
Great movie. But that's my call, guys, man. I'm gonna talk to y'all. I love the show, and y'all keep it going.
All right, man. Thank you so much, man. The best callers, always from Ohio. Always from Ohio, man. All right. That'll do it for this edition of Ringside Reporter. As always, you can catch Robert on Twitter at Ringside Robert, or you can call Ringside Robbie's Corner at 917-259-1810. Leave him a message. You can catch Joe Habib on Twitter at jhabib1 and find his YouTube channel at beatingtheoddswithbeeb.com. I'm at Ringside73 on Twitter, and we'll see you next week.